Human. I insist that you diagnosing my body. Alien Queen Commanders demand. The man was surprised. Dr. Marcus? Chen pressed his back against the cold metal wall of the storage room. His heart beat fast as he listened to the sounds outside. Heavy footsteps walked through the halls of the research ship Prometheus. Strange voices spoke in a language he had never heard before. The attack had happened so quickly. One moment, Marcus was checking medical supplies in the ship's lab. The next moment, alarms were screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. Captain Rodriguez's voice came over the speakers, telling everyone to prepare for battle. But the battle did not last long. The enemy ships were too strong, too fast. Marcus heard the sounds of fighting in the corridors. He heard his friends calling for help. Then everything became quiet. Marcus waited in the dark storage room for 3 hours. His medical uniform was torn and his hands shook. He was the ship's field medic, trained to help wounded soldiers. But he had never been in a real space battle before. He had never seen friends disappear one by one. Finally, the storage room door opened with a loud hiss. Bright light filled the small space. Marcus held up his hand to protect his eyes. When his vision cleared, he saw them. 3 tall figures stood in the doorway. They were not human. Their skin looked like blue crystal that caught the light. Wore armor that seemed to move like liquid metal. Each creature was almost 8 feet tall. Their eyes glowed with a soft purple light. "Human," one of them said in perfect English, "you will come with us." Marcus had no choice. Stood up slowly and walked out of the storage room. The creatures, Zephyrians, he remembered from his military training, led him through the ship. The halls that once felt like home now felt strange and empty. All of his crewmates were gone. Equipment was broken. Some walls had blast marks on them. They walked to the main hangar bay. Marcus saw a huge ship waiting there. Sailing. It was 10 times bigger than the Prometheus. The ship's hull was dark blue and seemed to shine like a jewel. Strange patterns of light moved across its surface. "Move faster, human," said one of the Zephyrians. "The Queen Commander does not like to wait." Queen Commander? Marcus felt his stomach drop. In all the military reports he had read, Zephyrian Queen Commanders were described as the most powerful leaders in their empire. They commanded entire fleets. They conquered whole star systems. And now he was going to meet one. The inside of the Zephyrian ship was amazing and frightening. At the same time, the walls curved in impossible ways. Soft blue light came from everywhere and nowhere. The floor felt warm under his feet. Strange music played softly in the air, if it was music at all. They walked through many corridors.
Ow.
Marcus saw other Zephyrians. Working at stations he did not understand. Some stopped to look at him. Their purple eyes studied him like he was a strange animal. Few made sounds that might have been laughter. After what felt like hours, they reached a massive door. It was at least 20 feet tall and covered with symbols that hurt to look at directly. The door opened without sound, revealing the largest room Marcus had ever seen. The throne room was the size of a football field. The ceiling was so high that it disappeared into shadows. Pillars made of the same crystal-like material supported the space. Between the pillars, screens showed star maps and data that moved too fast to follow. At the far end of the room sat a throne. On that throne sat Queen Commander Vextara. She was beautiful and terrifying. Like the other Zephyrians, her skin looked like blue crystal, but hers seemed to glow from inside. She was taller than the others, maybe 9 feet tall. Her armor was more complex, with patterns that moved and changed. On her head was a crown. That looked like it was made of captured starlight, but something was wrong. Even from far away, Marcus could see that she was not well. Her glow was weak. Her movements seemed careful, like she was in pain. Her purple eyes looked tired. "Bring the human closer," she said. Her voice was deep and strong, but Marcus heard something else in it. Something that sounded like fear? The guards pushed Marcus forward. He walked across the huge room, his footsteps echoing. When he was 20 feet from the throne, the guards made him stop. Queen Commander Vexthera looked down at him. For a Long moment, neither of them spoke. Marcus tried not to shake. He expected her to ask about Earth's defenses, or maybe about human technology. He expected interrogation, torture, or death. Instead, she said something that made no sense at all. "Human," she said slowly, "I have need of your medical skills." Marcus blinked. "I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I don't understand." The Queen Commander shifted on her throne. Marcus could see the movement caused her pain. "Our bioengineers are the finest in the galaxy," she said. "Our medical technology is beyond your understanding. Our healing machines can repair damage that would be impossible for your people to fix." She paused and looked directly into Marcus's eyes. "But they cannot help me. For 2 cycles, I have been growing weaker. My best doctors cannot find the cause. Their machines show nothing wrong, yet I know my body is failing." Marcus stared at her. "This made no sense. Your Majesty, I'm just a human field medic. Your people's medicine is hundreds of years ahead of ours. I don't see how I could help with something your doctors cannot fix." One of the royal guards stepped forward. "How dare you question the Queen Commander?" he said angrily. "She has chosen you for this honor." But Vexithera raised her hand, and the guard became quiet. She leaned forward on her throne, and Marcus saw something in her eyes that surprised him. Desperation. "Human," she said, "I insist that you examine my condition. You will use whatever methods your people use for healing. You will find what my people cannot find." Marcus felt the weight of her words. This was not a request. This was a command from one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, but it was also something else. It was the plea of someone who had tried everything and found nothing. I will try, Your Majesty," he said quietly. For the first time since he had entered the throne room, Queen Commander Vexithera smiled. It was a small smile, but it made her whole face change. "Good," she said. "Perhaps your people's primitive methods will see what our advanced science cannot." As Marcus stood in that vast throne room surrounded by alien technology beyond his understanding, he realized his life had just changed forever. He was no longer just a prisoner of war. He was now the last hope of the most powerful alien ruler he had ever heard of, and he had absolutely no idea what to do next. The next morning, Marcus woke up in a room unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls were smooth and warm to the touch. They glowed with soft light that changed from blue to purple as he moved. There was no bed in the human sense instead. A platform had shaped itself to fit his body perfectly while he slept. A Zephyrian guard entered without knocking. This one was different from the others. Smaller, with lighter blue skin and fewer armor pieces. "And bioengineer these," she said in careful English. "I will take you to the Queen Commander's medical bay." Marcus stood up and stretched. His body ached from sleeping on the strange platform. "Can I ask you something?" he said. Dissis tilted her head. "Speak." "Why me? Your people have amazing technology. Your medical equipment must be incredible. Why does the Queen Commander want help from a human?" Dissis was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer than before. "The Queen Commander has been sick for 2 cycles. In that time, 43 of our best bioengineers have examined her. We have used every scanner, every analyzer, every healing device in our empire. The results are always the same." "What results?" "Nothing. No disease, no injury, no genetic problems. According to our machines, the Queen Commander is perfectly healthy." Thesis looked directly at Marcus. "She grows weaker every day." They walked through corridors filled with Zephyrians working at strange consoles. Marcus noticed that none of them looked at him directly. They seemed nervous, maybe even scared. "Are they afraid of me?" Marcus asked. "Not of you," Thesis replied. "They are afraid of what it means that you are here. Our great medical science cannot help the Queen Commander, and she must ask a primitive species for help." She did not finish the sentence. They reached the medical bay, and Marcus stopped walking. His mouth fell open. The room was enormous, bigger than the entire medical wing of his ship. The ceiling was at least 50 feet high. Machines filled every space. machines that hummed, beeped, flashed, and moved on their own. Screens covered the walls, showing data that scrolled too fast for him to read. In the center of the room was a medical table that looked more like a spaceship than furniture. It was surrounded by dozens of scanning devices, each one the size of a car. Lights moved up and down mechanical arms. Soft sounds filled the air. As the machines ran continuous diagnostics, "This is incredible," Marcus said. "What can these machines do?" Thesis walked to the nearest scanner. "This one can see every cell in a body and count how many molecules are in each cell. This one can detect genetic changes smaller than anything your people know exists. This one can measure brain activity down to individual neural connections." She moved to another machine. "This device can rebuild damaged organs. This one can cure any known disease in minutes. This one can extend life by hundreds of years." Marcus felt very small suddenly. His medical bag contained a stethoscope, a blood pressure cuff, some basic medicines, and a few simple tools. Compared to this room, his equipment was like stone tools.
Wait.
"When will the Queen Commander arrive?" he asked. "She is already here." Marcus turned around. Queen Commander Vexathara stood in the doorway. In the bright lights of the medical bay, Marcus could see her condition more clearly. Her skin, which should have glowed like crystal, was dull. Her movements were slow and careful. Dark circles showed under her purple eyes. "Human Marcus," she said, walking slowly to the medical table. "Are you ready to begin?" "Yes, Your Majesty," Marcus said. "But I should warn you, my methods are very different from yours." "I am aware of that," she replied. "It is why you are here." Marcus looked around the room full of amazing machines. Then he opened his simple medical bag and took out his stethoscope. The ices made a sound that might have been laughter. "You plan to use that primitive device?" "Our scanners can hear every sound in her body with perfect clarity." "Maybe," Marcus said. "But this is how humans do medicine. We start simple." Queen Commander Vexthera lay down on the medical table. Marcus approached her carefully. "Your Majesty, I need to listen to your heart and lungs. Is that acceptable?" She nodded. Marcus placed the stethoscope on her chest. The sound he heard was strange, not quite like a human heart, but similar enough. He moved the stethoscope to different positions, listening carefully. "What do your machines tell you about her heart?" Marcus asked. The ices pressed buttons on a nearby console. Data filled a large screen. Heart rate optimal, blood flow perfect, pressure exactly correct. All cardiac functions normal, Marcus continued. Listening. After several minutes, he frowned. "Her heartbeat is regular, but there's something else. A pattern. Kind of pattern. It's hard to explain. The rhythm is correct, but it feels ... sad." The ices stared at him. Sad. Hearts cannot be sad. Hearts are mechanical pumps. Marcus ignored her and continued his examination. He looked into the Queen Commander's eyes with a small flashlight. He felt her pulse with his fingers. He asked her to breathe deeply and listen to her lungs. "Your Majesty," he said finally, "can you tell me how you feel? Not what the machines say. How do you feel?" The Queen Commander looked surprised by the question. "How I feel?" "Yes." "When you wake up in the morning, what is the first thing you notice? When you go to sleep at night, what do you think about?" For a long moment, she was quiet. Isis looked confused, like the question made no sense. "I feel ... The Queen Commander began slowly, empty. "Like something important is missing, but I cannot remember what it was." Marcus nodded. "When did this feeling start?" "Around the same time I became sick, but the feeling came first." Marcus looked at all the amazing machines around them. Then he looked at Thesis. "Do any of your scanners measure emotions?" "Emotions are not medical data," Thesis said. "They are not relevant to physical health." "Actually," Marcus said quietly, "they might be the most relevant thing of all." He turned back to the Queen Commander. "Your Majesty, I have an idea about what might be wrong, but I need to ask you some questions that might seem strange." "Ask, do you dream?" "Yes. What do you dream about?" The Queen Commander was quiet for a moment. "Green things," she said finally. "Growing things. Places with wind and rain. But such places do not exist in our empire anymore." Marcus felt a piece of the puzzle click into place. He looked at Thesis, who was watching with growing concern. I think Marcus said slowly that your machines are looking for the wrong kind of problem. What do you mean? Thesis asked. Marcus put away his stethoscope and looked directly at the Queen Commander. Your Majesty, I believe you're not sick in the way your people understand sickness. Your body is healthy, but your spirit is not. The Queen Commander sat up slowly. For the first time since he had met her, she looked truly interested. Tell me more, human Marcus, she said. And Marcus realized that he was about to challenge everything the Zephyrians believed about medicine, health, and life itself. The Queen Commander stared at Marcus with intense purple eyes. You believe my spirit is sick? She asked. What does that mean? Marcus took a deep breath. He was about to say something that might anger the most powerful being in the galaxy. Your Majesty, on Earth, we learned long ago that the mind and body are connected. When someone is very sad or lonely for a long time, their body becomes sick too. Call it depression, grief, or emotional stress. Bioengineer this has made a sharp sound. Impossible. Emotions are just chemical reactions in the brain. They cannot cause real physical illness. Actually, they can, Marcus said calmly. Human doctors have proven this many times. Strong emotions change how the heart beats, how the stomach works, how the immune system fights disease. Everything is connected. The Queen Commander was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, What do you think is making my spirit sick? Marcus looked around the amazing medical bay. All the machines were still running, displaying perfect readings about the Queen Commander's body. But none of them could measure what he suspected was the real problem, Your Majesty. You said you dream about green things, growing things, places with wind and rain. Can you tell me more about that? I dream of worlds with plants that reach toward light. I dream of animals that run free. I dream of water that flows in rivers and falls from the sky. Her voice became softer. Da-da-da-da, but these dreams make no sense. My people have moved beyond such primitive environments long ago. When did your people move beyond them? Marcus asked. Isis answered instead. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors lived on dirty planets with chaotic weather and dangerous animals. We evolved past that. We live in controlled environments where everything is perfect and safe. Marcus felt another piece of the puzzle click into place. Can you show me information about ancient Zephyrian biology from before? Your people had advanced technology? Why would that be relevant? Please, just show me. Dices looked at the Queen Commander, who nodded. Dices pressed buttons on a console, and a large screen filled with data. Marcus studied the information carefully. Look at this, he said, pointing to the screen. Ancient Zephyrians had different skin patterns. Their eyes were larger. Their hands had small organs on the fingertips that don't exist anymore. Those were evolutionary mistakes, Dices said. We removed those useless features through genetic improvement. What did those fingertip organs do? Dices looked annoyed. They were used to sense plant chemicals. Ancient Zephyrians could touch growing things and somehow understand their health. It was a primitive survival skill. Marcus stared at the screen. In the different skin patterns, they changed color based on environmental conditions, temperature, humidity, time of day. Another useless feature from our primitive past. Your Majesty, Marcus said, turning to the Queen Commander. When you dream about green growing things, how do you feel in the dream? Complete, she said immediately. Like I am exactly where I belong. Marcus looked back at the data on the screen. He saw information about ancient Zephyrian cities built around living trees, pictures of Zephyrians working in gardens, data about how they used plants for medicine, food, and even communication. Dices, he said quietly. I think your people didn't just evolve past their environment. I think they lost something important when they left it behind. That is ridiculous. Thesis said. We gained everything when we advanced beyond primitive planetary living. Perfect climate control, unlimited food production, complete safety from natural disasters. But what did you lose? The Queen Commander sat up straighter on the medical table. Explain what you mean, Marcus. Marcus walked to the screen showing ancient Zephyrian history. Your Majesty, humans have learned that we need connection to nature to be healthy. When we spend too much time away from growing things, from natural light, from the sounds of wind and water, we get sick. It's not just in our spirits, in our bodies too. He pointed to an image of ancient Zephyrians touching plants with their fingertips. Your ancestors had organs designed to connect with plant life. Your skin changed color with natural rhythms. Your people evolved to be part of living ecosystems. And now, the Queen Commander asked, now your people live in metal ships and artificial environments. You have no contact with growing things. Your modified genetics have removed the very organs that once connected you to nature. Marcus looked directly at her. Your body remembers what it has lost, even if your mind doesn't. This was shaking her head. This is impossible. Our medical science would have detected such a problem. Would it? Marcus asked. Your machines look for disease, injury, genetic defects, but they don't look for spiritual emptiness. They don't measure the health of the soul. The Queen Commander was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke. In my dreams, when I touch the growing things, I feel power flowing through me. Real power, not the artificial power of technology. What kind of power? Marcus asked. Power to understand life itself. To feel the health of every living thing around me. To know what plants need to grow, what animals need to thrive. Her purple eyes grew bright. In my dreams, I am not just a ruler, I am a guardian of life. Marcus felt excitement growing in his chest. Your Majesty, I think that's exactly what you once were. I think your ancestors weren't just connected to nature, they were its protectors. And your body is trying to tell you that this is still your true purpose. Dices was staring at them both. You're suggesting that thousands of years of evolution and advancement have made us sick? Not sick, Marcus said. Just incomplete. The Queen Commander stood up from the medical table. For the first time since Marcus had met her, she moved without pain. Marcus, if you are correct, what can be done? We cannot return to primitive planetary living. Our empire spans hundreds of star systems. Marcus thought carefully before answering. Your Majesty, maybe you don't need to abandon your technology. Maybe you need to combine it with what you've lost. Humans do this all the time. We use advanced tools, but we also keep gardens. We live in cities, but we visit forests. We have artificial lights, but we still need sunshine. You think I need contact with growing things? I think you need to remember what your ancestors knew about the connection between all living things. Your body is trying to return to that wisdom. The Queen Commander walked to the large window that showed the stars outside. If you are right, she said slowly, then my illness is not just my problem. It is the problem of my entire species. Marcus joined her at the window. Maybe that's why you're the Queen Commander. Maybe your body is telling you what your people need to survive and thrive. For the first time since he had met her, the Queen Commander smiled. Human Marcus, she said, you have given me something my bioengineers could not. What's that, Your Majesty? Hope, she said, and a purpose beyond conquest. As they stood looking out at the stars, Marcus realized that he had done more than diagnose an alien illness. He had discovered a truth that might change the entire Zephyrian Empire and maybe save it from a spiritual death. It didn't even know it was dying. 3 days later, Marcus stood in a room he had never seen before. It was deep inside the Queen Commander's ship, far from the sterile medical bay. The walls were made of the same crystal-like material as Zephyrian skin, but they pulsed with gentle light that reminded him of a heartbeat. This room has been sealed for over 1,000 years, Queen Commander Vexera said, as she entered behind him. It was built by my ancestors, but we had forgotten its purpose. Marcus looked around in wonder. The room was filled with empty containers that looked like they had once held plants. Strange devices hung from the ceiling, devices that looked like they might have provided light and water. In the center of the room was a circular platform covered with soil that had turned to dust long ago. It's a garden, Marcus said quietly. An ancient garden. Yes, the Queen Commander replied. After our conversation yesterday, I ordered my historians to search the ship's oldest records. They found references to life chambers on every Zephyrian vessel. Rooms where the crew maintained living plants during long space journeys. Bioengineer these entered the room, followed by 6 other Zephyrians Marcus had never met. They wore different uniforms: scientists, engineers, and what looked like historians. "Your Majesty," the Isis said, "we have studied the ancient records as you commanded. We found detailed instructions for maintaining what our ancestors called symbiotic life systems." One of the historians stepped forward. The records showed that ancient Zephyrians believed they needed regular contact with growing plants to maintain physical and mental health. Every ship, every city, every home had these life chambers. "What happened to them?" Marcus asked. "They were removed during the Great Advancement," the historian replied. "Our people decided that artificial life support systems were more efficient than biological ones. The life chambers were seen as primitive and unnecessary." Marcus knelt down and touched the ancient soil. It crumbled between his fingers like powder. "Your Majesty, I think we can bring this room back to life. But we'll need to do it carefully, combining your technology with what your ancestors knew." The Queen Commander knelt beside him. "Tell me what you need." Marcus looked around the room, his mind working quickly. "First, we need to understand what plants your ancestors used. The historical records should tell us that, and we need to create growing conditions that match what your people's bodies remember." "I can analyze the soil residue," Isis said. "Our molecular scanners can identify what plants grew here thousands of years ago." "Good," Marcus said. "But we also need to think about this differently than normal medicine. Your Majesty, for this to work, you need to trust the process completely. You need to let yourself remember things your people have forgotten." One of the engineers spoke up. "Human Marcus, we can rebuild the ancient growing systems. Our technology is far more advanced than what our ancestors had. We can create perfect conditions for any plant life." "Perfect conditions might not be what we need," Marcus said carefully. "Sometimes healing requires accepting imperfection. Natural growing. Things have cycles, changes, ups and downs. That might be exactly what the Queen Commander's body is missing." Over the next several hours, Marcus worked with the Zephyrian team to plan the healing protocol. It was unlike anything he had ever done before. They were combining human understanding of emotional healing with alien technology and ancient alien wisdom. This is analyzed the ancient soil and found traces of dozens of different plants. The historians discovered detailed records of how the plants were grown and cared for. The engineers began rebuilding the growing systems, but Marcus insisted. They include natural variation, changes in light, temperature, and humidity that would make the environment feel alive rather than artificial. "Your Majesty," Marcus said as they worked, "there's one more thing we need to discuss. For this healing to work, you might need to let other people see you being vulnerable. You might need to show weakness before you can show strength." Queen Commander looked troubled. "My people expect their leaders to be strong at all times. If they see me weak, ... They might see you as more than just a ruler," Marcus said gently. "They might see you as someone who cares about healing and life, not just conquest and power." That evening, they began the first treatment session. The life chamber had been partially restored. New growing systems hummed quietly, providing gentle light and moisture. Marcus had insisted on bringing seeds from the ship's emergency food stores, simple plants that could grow quickly. The Queen Commander sat on the platform in the center of the room. For the first time since Marcus had met her, she had removed her armor and crown. She wore simple clothes that allowed her skin to breathe freely. "How do you feel?" Marcus asked, as he planted the first seeds in the new soil. "Nervous," she admitted, and ... excited. "I haven't felt excited about anything in years." As the days passed, something remarkable happened. The Queen Commander spent hours each day in the life chamber, tending the growing plants with her own hands. Marcus taught her human techniques for gardening, how to feel the soil to know when plants needed water, how to watch for signs of healthy growth, how to be patient with natural processes. But more importantly, something was changing in her body. Her skin began to glow more brightly. Her movements became more graceful. The dark circles under her eyes faded away. "Look at this." This is set on the 5th day, showing Marcus's readings. From the medical scanners, her cellular energy levels have increased by 30%. Her neural activity shows patterns we've never seen before. Her immune system is stronger than it's been in years. Marcus smiled. Her body is remembering what it's supposed to do. Word of the Queen Commander's unusual treatment spread through the ship. At first, the crew was confused and worried. Her powerful leader was spending time playing in dirt like a child. But as days passed, and she grew visibly healthier and happier, their confusion turned to fascination. Began to visit the life chamber. They watched in amazement as their Queen Commander, who had seemed distant and tired for so long, laughed while teaching young crew members how to plant seeds. "I feel connected," she told Marcus on the 7th day. "Connected to the plants, to my crew, to myself. It's like I've been sleeping for years and I'm finally waking up." Marcus watched her gently touch a plant that had sprouted under her care. For a moment, he could swear he saw a soft glow pass between her fingertips and the green leaves. "Your Majesty," he said quietly, "I think you're not just healing yourself. I think you're remembering how to heal others, too." The Queen Commander looked at him with bright, healthy eyes. "Marcus, what you have given me is more valuable than any territory my empire has ever conquered." As they stood together in the growing garden, surrounded by new life, Marcus realized that they had accomplished something extraordinary. They had proven that the most advanced technology in the galaxy still needed the oldest wisdom of all, the knowledge that all living things are connected, and that healing comes not from machines alone, but from understanding the bonds between life, nature, and the spirit. 2 weeks after the first seeds were planted, Marcus stood in the life chamber watching something he had never expected to see. Queen Commander Vexithera was glowing. Not the artificial glow of Zephyrian technology, but a natural light that seemed to come from deep within her crystal-like skin. She knelt among the growing plants, her hands moving gently from leaf to leaf. Where she touched, the plants grew stronger, greener, more alive. "How do you feel, Your Majesty?" Marcus asked. "Stars, I feel complete," she said. "For the first time in my life, I understand what I was meant to be." The life chamber had become a garden paradise. Plants from across the galaxy grew in perfect harmony. The air smelled of flowers and fresh growth. Water flowed in small streams that sparkled in the natural light. But most amazing of all, the Queen Commander's transformation had begun affecting her entire crew. Bioengineer Thesis entered the chamber carrying data tablets. Over the past weeks, she had become Marcus's closest ally among the Zephyrians. "You need to see these readings," she said excitedly. Marcus looked at the data. "What am I looking at?" "Leth reports from across the ship," Thesis explained. "Since the Queen Commander began her healing, something incredible has happened. Crew members who visit this chamber are reporting better sleep, increased energy, improved mood. Some are even asking to help with the gardening. It's wonderful," Marcus said, but not surprising. Humans have known for centuries that contact with growing things makes people healthier and happier. The Queen Commander stood up, brushing soil from her hands. "Marcus, there is something else. Something I discovered yesterday that changes everything." She walked to a communication panel and pressed several buttons. The main screen showed a map of Zephyrian space, hundreds of star systems controlled by the Empire. "I sent a message to all Zephyrian commanders in the fleet," she said. "I told them about my healing. I told them about what we learned from human medicine." Marcus felt a chill of worry. What was their response? 47 ships have reported similar problems among their crews. Commanders who have been sick with unknown illnesses, crews who are tired and unmotivated despite perfect living conditions, scientists who cannot understand why their people are becoming weaker even as their technology grows stronger. This is nodded. "We have analyzed the pattern. Ships that have been in space longest show the most problems. Stations that have no natural environments show the highest rates of unexplained illness. Your entire empire is suffering from the same spiritual sickness," Marcus said quietly. "Yes," the Queen Commander replied. "And now they all want to know how a primitive human doctor succeeded where our greatest medical minds failed." Over the next few days, something unprecedented happened in the Zephyrian Empire. Ships began creating their own life chambers. Scientists studied ancient records, about symbiotic relationships with plants. Engineers designed new systems that combined advanced technology with natural growing environments. But most importantly, requests began arriving from across the empire, requests for human medical consultants. "Your Majesty," Marcus said as they walked through the thriving garden, "I need to ask you something important. Speak freely. When I first arrived here, I was a prisoner of war. My ship was destroyed, my crew was captured. What happened to them?" The Queen Commander stopped walking. For a moment, her new happiness faded. "Marcus, I must tell you something. Your crew was not captured." Marcus felt his heart stop. "What do you mean?" "When we attacked your ship, we were following standard procedure. We planned to capture useful prisoners and eliminate the rest." She looked directly at him. "But something went wrong with our weapons. The ship was damaged, but your crew escaped in emergency pods before we could board." Marcus stared at her. "They're alive." "Yes, our sensors tracked. They're pods to a nearby human colony. They are safe." Relief flooded through Marcus's entire body. For weeks, he had believed his friends were dead. Now he learned they had escaped. "Why didn't you tell me before?" he asked. "Because I was ashamed." The Queen Commander admitted, "We came to your ship planning conquest and destruction. Instead, you have given us healing and hope. You have shown us wisdom we had lost. How could I tell you that we had tried to murder your friends?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled. "Your Majesty, the fact that you feel ashamed shows how much you have changed. The Queen Commander I first met would not have cared about the feelings of a human prisoner." She nodded slowly. "You are right. I am not the same person who ordered that attack." That evening, the Queen Commander called a meeting in her throne room, but this time it was different. The massive room had been filled with plants. Gentle, light filtered through growing vines. The air smelled of flowers instead of metal and electronics. Marcus stood beside the throne as hundreds of Zephyrian officers filled the room. Representatives from across the empire had come to see the transformation for themselves. "My people," the Queen Commander began 3 weeks ago. "I was dying of an illness our greatest doctors could not understand. Today, I am healthier than I have been in years. This change came not from our advanced technology, but from the wisdom of a human doctor." Murmurs filled the room. Many of the officers looked skeptical. "Human Marcus has taught us something we had forgotten," she continued. "Advanced technology alone cannot sustain life. We must remember our connection to growing things, to natural cycles, to the wisdom our ancestors knew." She gestured to Marcus. "I am making an announcement that will change our empire forever. From this day forward, Dr. Marcus Chen is appointed as the first human ambassador to the Zephyrian Empire." The room erupted in surprised voices. Marcus felt his knees go weak. "Furthermore," the Queen Commander continued, "we will establish medical exchange programs with the human colonies. Zephyrian doctors will learn human approaches to healing. Human doctors will gain access to our medical technology. Together, we will create new ways of understanding health that combine the best of both our peoples." One of the officers stepped forward. "Your Majesty, are you saying we should abandon our plans for human conquest?" The Queen Commander smiled. "I am saying we should abandon conquest entirely. What we can learn from humans is far more valuable than any territory we could take. They have something we lost long ago. The knowledge that true strength comes not from dominating others, but from understanding the connections between all living things." She looked at Marcus. "Dr. Chen, will you accept this position?" Marcus thought about his destroyed ship, his scattered crew, a simple medical bag that had somehow healed the most powerful being in the galaxy. He thought about the garden growing around them, about the hope in the Queen Commander's eyes, about the chance to build bridges between species instead of walls. "Your Majesty," he said, "I would be honored to serve as ambassador, but I have one request." "Name it." "I want to bring other human doctors here, and I want to visit human colonies to share what we've learned. This healing shouldn't be limited to one ship or one person." "Agreed," she said immediately. As the meeting ended and the officers filed out, many stopping to touch the plants that now grew throughout the throne room, Marcus realized that his life had changed in ways he never could have imagined. He had come to this ship as a prisoner facing death. He was leaving as an ambassador carrying hope. He had used simple human wisdom to heal an alien empire and forge an alliance that would benefit both species for generations to come. Most importantly, he had proven that humanity's greatest strength was not technology or weapons, but the understanding that all life is connected and that sometimes the most advanced civilizations need to remember the simplest truths of all.